Hello everyone, this is part 11 of What If Naruto Trained with the Akatsuki, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Hinata was able to save herself after she got back to the Akatsuki base. You're lucky you made it in time. Miniopaxu said, just a few more minutes and you would have been gone forever. The Akatsuki members were all fine now, but not in the condition to fight yet. They all gathered around forming a circle. Where is Sasori? Itachi asked, being the leader of the group. He left. He went to chase after Naruto. His efforts are noble, but in the end, he's not coming back. Hinata said, sighing. That's another one we've lost. Hiden stated. Our plans really got screwed up big time with that Shouten group. Everyone must call out the name to see who's accounted for. I'll start with myself, Itachi. Hiden, Kakazu, Deidara, Miniopaxu, Hinata. Kisame. Due to lack of members, many of us do not have partners. Itachi said, stating the obvious. You all know what we're to do at this point. It's time to recruit. We must revert back to our original 9 for the sake of time. However, just because we need 3 members, doesn't mean we will pick anybody. I'm going to pair of us up now. Hiden and Kakazu will stay the same. Miniopaxu and Deidara will also pair up. Kisame and I will be the third pair. Hinata, you will stay here and take care of the base. There you have it, 3 groups. Split up, and find 1 member each. They must be strong, smart, and willing to help as well as K at any costs. Good luck, Itachi said as all the Akatsuki members scattered and Hinata stayed put. I'm so sorry Kagai. I did not know the scroll was a fake. Saru bowed in grief and disbelief. That's why the task was so easy, the Kazekage allowed Saru to get it freely. Saru felt disappointed in himself. Kagai's reaction was not one that Saru expected. It's okay. We didn't want the scroll anyway, it was just a mission to prove your loyalty. In the end, you passed. How did you know I went to the right place? Saru asked. We had 8 follow you disguised as your Shouten cloak. Kagai said. Suddenly, Saru's cloak transformed back into his ally 8. You did a good job kid, but next time your enemy won't be so willing to let you have what you're looking for. So remember that, 8 said. I'm wondering why Haku hasn't arrived yet. Kagai asked. Somebody else may have the body. Kiran said as his tall figure walked into the room. Damn it. Q's going to be really mad when he finds this out. 8 sighed. Who's Q? Saru asked, not realizing it was his leader's name. Q is our leader. We will allow you to know because you have completed your first mission. As we all said before, everything will be revealed to you in time. Kagai said. Q is not going to find out about this. Kagai, I want you and Saru to go track the body down. Kiran ordered. Saru noticed that Kagai was a little reluctant to obey, but he then bowed politely and obliged. Saru followed Kagai out the base and into the forest. Bomu Rasengan. Ru shouted as a tiny sphere of chakra formed in Ru's left hand. He drove it into the huge ball about to devour him, causing a large explosion. The ball was sent back through the air, flying high above the heads of all, despite its size and weight. Ru on the other hand was knocked back from the force and Kyozaku managed to catch him. All that was left of the large sphere was a pile of rubble just as big as when it was whole. How about you give us the next challenge? Kyozaku asked, smiling. Silly girl, didn't I say that each tale would be harder than the last? Was that really harder for you to do? Sasori asked, smiling. No my dear fools, the battle yet from over. Kyozaku and Ru were not confused for long. They kept their eyes on the large pile of rubble and soon enough, it began to move. Like a newborn phoenix rising from the ashes, the real puppet stood, just as big as the sphere it was in. The puppet was the most unique puppet Ru and Kyozaku had ever seen before. Its left arm was simply a huge cannon that could fire as big as people standing up. The right arm was skinnier than the rest of the body and was not proportional. The legs were long and thick, looking exactly like frog legs. The huge body led up to large shoulders which made the puppet look even more intimidating. The head floated in the air, just far enough above the shoulders to compensate the distance for the missing N. That's the second tail, Sasori shouted through a very large grin. Ru, I don't know how we can get past this, Kyosaku said, fearing that they may not beat all the tails. If the second tail is this strong, then how strong can the other three be? In the end, it's one Akatsuki member against two Tenushihi. Don't doubt our abilities. Skill will triumph over machine, I have no doubt about that. We have to believe in ourselves, Kyosaku. And that's when we will win. Ru said, giving his partner hope. For now, let's just refrain from using our best tricks. Let's do our best to take him down with what we've got. Kyosaku nodded and they both ran towards their new enemy. Saru and Kagai were now far away from the base and Saru saw fit to ask his superior the question he had been dying to ask. Kagai, can I ask you a question? Well, isn't that already a question? Why were you reluctant to listen to Kiran? Saru finally asked. Kagai smiled. So you noticed, eh? Well, since I guess you can be trusted, I'll let you in on the secret. See, I may look human, but I'm not anymore. Anymore? Saru questioned. A long time ago, before I was mostly machine, Q was gone away for a little while. Kiran decided that since he was the strongest, he would take charge. I didn't think of anybody else other than Q as my leader, so it was my decision to disobey the mission he gave me. Since I disrespected his authority in front of all of the Shouten, he took me aside one time, and he ripped my body to shreds. I healed myself as much as I could and sewed my beat-up body back together again. My body barely functioned after that. I had to remain in a bed for a long time. Finally, Q came back from having accomplished his mission and he saw me so weak and pathetic. I told him what happened, that I disobeyed Kiran because I didn't think of him as my leader. That was a big mistake. Q screamed that the next strongest in line would be the leader if he was gone. For my disobedience, my body was destroyed again. He lent me a small amount of his power to stay alive as I worked on making myself a cyborg in order to live. Now I am about 80% machine, all because I decided to disobey Kiran once. I don't like him, but I have to respect his command. Kiran is and always will be stronger than me. I am only as strong as I built myself, while his skill surpasses all the rest. I've seen Kiran at his best, and I can definitely say that I would not like to fight him again. He can get stronger, I can't. Kagai said. Saru was amazed at the story he just heard. But he had another question that arose in his mind. What mission did Q go to accomplish? Kagai smiled. You can know his name, but you cannot know the purpose he serves yet. His goals will remain unknown to you for now. Saru sighed and stayed quiet. Miniopaxu, where are we going? Deodara asked, following his comrade. Before Zetsu-s, he told me of an acquaintance that he had and where to find him. I trust my old partner's judgment, and that's who we're going to recruit. Miniopaxu explained. What's this guy's name? Deodara asked. Toby. And what does this Toby have that makes him qualified for the Akatsuki? Miniopaxu shook his head. I'm not so sure at this point, but all I know is that he's the one. Deodara sighed and followed his partner to an area full of volcanoes. Toby lives here? Deodara asked in disgust. Apparently he does. He should be in the first volcano we see. Sure enough, he was. Miniopaxu and Deodara reached the top of the volcano and looked down through the hole to see a man that was standing not on lava but on rock, looking up right back at them. Are you Toby? Miniopaxu shouted down. The man had no answer. He simply put his hands together and in an instant, the volcano erupted. Miniopaxu was alert and ready for anything. He put his hand down into the volcanic hole and shouted, Sekisho no Jutsu. A water barrier appeared covering the large hole. The lava hit the water and immediately turned to rock, closing off the only opening of the volcano. Well done, the man said, appearing right beside the two Akatsuki members. He wore a mask that had lines that all swirled around the single hole where his right eye was. Even though the hole was there, his right eye was still not visible. Are you Toby? Deodara asked this time. Who wants to know? The man asked. We are friends with Zetsu. I believe he is an acquaintance of yours. We are both from the same organization as him, the aka. Miniopaxu was interrupted as the man finished his sentence. Akatsuki, I know. In that case, I am Toby. But why didn't Zetsu come instead of you two? Toby asked. He's S. Deodara said harshly. We need 3 members and we too have decided to recruit you. I can already see that you're strong. What was that move back there? Oh, I'm just good with fire, that's all. Toby said, changing back to the subject at hand. So you want me to be a part of the Akatsuki, is that it? That is correct. In the end it is your decision to say yes or no. Minio said. Alright, I'll join you guys, for Zetsu's sake. Toby said as all 3 Akatsuki members left back for the base. Ru and Kyosaku did not have it easy at all. Still they had no idea how they were going to defeat their enemy at this rate. We only have one thing left to help us before using our best moves. Kyosaku said, reaching into her pocket. She pulled out 2 small blue pills and handed one to Ru. Brilliant, the chakra pills. Ru shouted. They both quickly ate the pill as their chakra grew to enormous levels surrounding their bee completely. Now concentrate the chakra to your body. Ru said. I know. Kyosaku replied, closing her eyes. Sasori witnessed as his 2 opponents readied themselves. Ru concentrated all his chakra to his fists as Kyosaku did the same with her legs. They both opened their eyes at the same time and disappeared into the air. Kyosaku reappeared at the same level as the puppet's head, kicking it with all her strength. The head was sent flying to the ground, leaving a crater under it. Ru appeared at the puppet's sea, constantly punching it until it fell to the ground. Sasori was furious. Do you think a simple pill could stop me? Third tail. The third portion of Sasori's tail unfolded to be a huge sword fit for the puppet Kyosaku and Ru were fighting. The sword had a normal-sized handle for the puppet's size, but the blade was the weird part. It was actually 2 blades placed very closely together. The puppet grabbed the sword, and stood back up as the head went back to its position as well. The puppet brought the sword next to its head with the blade facing outwards and not to the sides. It blew air from the mouth area through the 2 blades, creating a whistling sound so intense and sharp it brought Kyosaku and Ru to the ground. Kyosaku, stop it from doing that. Ru shouted, clenching his teeth. Take Gamey Unari. Kyosaku shouted, this time creating lions just as big as the puppet itself. All 50 lions ran towards the puppet with great speed. The first 3 chakra lions penetrated the puppet and knocked it back a few steps. Already the exterior of the puppet was beginning to deteriorate. However, before the other 47 lions could attack, the puppet regained its stance and took over. Its sword turned at the handle until both blades were facing outwards from each other with the handle in the middle. With this new weapon, the puppet s through each of the chakra lions with ease, destroying each one of them. That trick won't work again. Sasori shouted. Kyosaku, I'm sorry, but you have to use it. Ru said. Why is it always me that has to do everything? Kyosaku asked. Because I have to save my best move for the final tails. If I use mine now, yours might not be enough to take the last one down. Ru said. Please, just do it. Are you sure you want to recruit him? Hiden asked reluctantly. I don't know if you remember, but our last encounter with him almost cost us our lives. That's because we fought him 2-on-1. Exactly, he's perfect. He's ruthless, cold, and very skilled. Kakazu replied. Tetsukawa Ryoku, here we come. Kakazu, we're going to have to fight him again, aren't we? Hiden asked. Probably, he never goes without a battle. To him, that's the only way he can trust anyone. K is his nature. Lucky for you, you're already S. Now remember, our purpose is to recruit him, so don't take it too far. Kakazu explained. I wonder how much stronger he's gotten since we last fought him. Hiden said, smiling. I'm a little scared yet excited. If we recruit him, he'll definitely be the strongest of the Akatsuki, even past Itachi. Are you kidding me? Itachi isn't the strongest just because he's the leader. Sasori has surpassed him after he had that upgrade. Don't you remember when he showed us everything he had up his sleeve? Hinata said Sasori isn't coming back, but I believe otherwise. He is stronger than she thinks. Kakazu said. Hey Kakazu, who do you think is stronger between us two? Hiden asked. We've been through this before, I would KO in the end. Kakazu said. Hiden scoffed, oh don't you wish. I think I would win if we turned against each other. Think what you want, I only care about recruiting Ryoku. Kakazu stated. Now he should be here. They had both arrived to a small village. They entered a sake shop and there he was. Tetsukawa Ryoku, it has definitely been a long time. Kakazu said, acquiring his attention. Ryoku had light blue spiky hair and green eyes. He was at a young age like 28 and as he stood up, he was very tall. Ryoku was quite skinny but muscular as well. He wore a light-colored vest and pants that reached down a little past his knees. He also wore casual ninja sandals. Ryoku had a few things that were unique about him, such as that he had a diamond tattoo on top of his left hand. On the top of his right hand there was a tattoo of an ice shard. Kakazu and Hidden. It has been a long time. What brings you here to these parts? I know you are not just passing by. Ryoku asked. He spoke in a deep but cheery voice. All three of them stepped outside and Kakazu said, the Akatsuki has unfortunately fallen short of a few members. So our current mission is to recruit strong people to help us get back on track again. We know that you're the man for the job. Ryoku smiled innocently. Come on Kakazu, you cannot expect me to grant you a huge favor such as this after not talking for so many years. How about we make a bargain? Let's talk like men do, not with our mouths, but with our fists. If you two can beat me in a battle, I will do you this favor and devote my life to the Akatsuki. But if you two lose, then you will both devote your lives to me. How does that sound? Done. Kakazu said quickly before Hidden could object. Kakazu, can I speak with you for a moment? Hidden still persisted. After pulling him aside, Hidden said, why are you agreeing to this? He has a really good chance of winning and I'm pretty sure I don't want to devote my life to him. Have no fear Hidden, Akatsuki will never let us leave. They will chase us down and kill us on sight, that way you won't have to deal with being his S for very long. Cheer up. I know we can beat this guy. We beat him before and we can beat him again. Just remember what he used last time and you'll be fine. He can access an unlimited amount of diamond and ice and mold it any way he likes with his chakra. Kakazu said, trying to bring Hidden at peace. They all left outside of the village a few miles where there was nothing but desert. So shall we begin? Ryoku asked. Kyosaku wanted to use her special move before the pill's effect wore off. Now was the time. Let's warm up a little first. Kyosaku said. She opened both of her hands where two water spheres were created that looked similar to the Rasengan. The water was spinning just like the chakra in the Rasengan, but in this case the water was spinning one direction. Kyosaku threw the spheres at the puppet with immense force. The spheres were simply destroyed by the huge sword, leaving it all wet. But Kyosaku did not stop. She continually created water ball after water ball until she had begun to make some progress. The puppet was being sent back in its steps from the force of the spheres. Eventually, when Kyosaku had stopped throwing, all she had accomplished in the end was that her enemy was completely soaked. She stood on top of a boulder and extended her hands outwards towards the huge puppet. She closed her eyes and said slowly but loudly, Mizu. Seishi no Jutsu. Suddenly, blue clear strings attached from all over the puppet's body, to all 10 of Kyosaku's fingers. She now was in control of Sasori's machine and began to move it at her own disposal. How are you doing that? Sasori asked, completely astonished. This is my strongest jutsu. It may not look like much, but I can do anything I want to with this. It is not a state of mind that I have control, but simply movement. Willpower has no deciding factor in this jutsu. No matter how strong an opponent is, I will always be able to control them. Kyosaku explained. Normally, she began again, this jutsu is performed against real organisms that are actually alive. The reason for that is because organisms, especially humans, which are composed of 70% water. You see, the whole element that allows me to take control is the water itself. In a normal human, I would simply attach these strings, which are made up of water and chakra mixed together, to their body and have complete control inside and out. This jutsu allows me to gain control of anything that has water on it, or if it is water itself, I can regulate that as well. In this case, I had to soak the whole puppet to gain control, but you get the concept. There is no use trying to break the strings because my fingers are keeping the water and chakra mixed together. What's really going on in these strings is that I am exerting water constantly from my fingers and simply mixing the chakra with the water. So the water is constantly moving towards my puppet, which keeps it wet and prevents it from drying out. So to try and see the strings would be futile for the fact that the water would simply get back in line again and continue to keep the puppet soaked. Kyosaku explained. The reason this is so hard to do, is because, it not only takes a lot of chakra to keep this water cycle going, but it also takes a lot from my mind considering I am not a natural puppet user. I realize this is not the most suitable technique to be using against you, but I think it's time you had some of your own medicine. So now that you finally know how it works, there's something else I'd like to show you what I'm capable of. Kyosaku said as she squinted her eyes and concentrated. The puppet went from being completely soaked to completely frozen. It stood as still as a stone and even gave off a small amount of smoke from the ice. Kyosaku spread her arms wide and boom, the puppet shattered into hundreds of tiny ice pieces all over the floor. Kyosaku fell to her knees in fatigue and looked up at her partner. Mission accomplished, Ru. He's all yours. Good luck. With that she walked back a few steps to let Ru deal with the last two tails. I'm not going to lie. That was quite impressive, but it's over for you now. Sasori began. You are only one person now and your partner is too weak to continue. The next two tails work as a duo. Together, their teamwork makes it practically impossible to take them down. It won't be long before both of you are K. After that, I'll simply follow Naruto and K his brother. Then it will be mission accomplished for me as soon as I return Naruto back to our base. Fourth and fifth tail. Back in his prime days, he was very famous for his strength. Now, he is believed to be my most. I stumbled upon him a few months ago and kept him in mind. Our only hope now is for him to join us. He will definitely be a strong hand as well as a good use for our organization. Itachi said as him and Kisame traveled into a mountainous terrain. What village was he from? Kisame asked. Konoha. It was a few more minutes before Kisame saw what Itachi had described to him earlier, a small shack hidden between two narrow mountains close together. There were trees that also aided in the hidden location. They traveled up to the shack and entered the building to find a man in his middle ages with all silver hair. He wore the regular Konoha shinobi uniform and sat down on the floor alone sipping a cup of tea. He looked up at the two intruders who had simply barged in his abode. Who are you? He asked. We came to make you a deal, old man. Itachi said. There is nothing I want in this world, I can accept no bargain. The old man said. Is that so? You wouldn't even want to see your own son one last time? Itachi asked. My son? I don't know what you're talking about. The man said looking down at the floor taking another sip of his tea. We're wasting our time, Itachi, this man has already lost his mind. Kisame said. Itachi ignored him and still persisted, yes, your son. I'm sure you remember him. He is known far and wide as the great copy ninja. His name is Hatake Kakashi. The man's eyes widened as he repeated his son's name. Hatake Kakashi. Hatake Tsukumo, Konoha's White Fang, listen to our proposition. Itachi said softly. Tsukumo looked up at Itachi and Kisame and asked, what is it that you propose? It has definitely been a while since we have fought, but I think last time was simply a stage for me. Witness me now, at the strongest I've ever been. Ryoku said. Hiden put his right foot down on the desert crust and began to draw a circle. The bottom of his sandal had ink on it, so the circle was nice and dark. Inside the circle he drew a perfect triangle whose 3 points touched the edge of the circle. Still in that insane religion, I see. Ryoku said to Hiden after he had completed his circle. Still use the power of diamond and ice, I see. Kakazu said, referring to Ryoku's tattoos. Ryoku smiled, ah yes, but now I've become a lot better at controlling them. I think you'll be quite impressed at how much I've improved. Yeah, let's just get this battle over with so we can beat you already. Hiden said as he prepared his huge scythe that had 3 blades. Don't be so sure of that. Ryoku shouted as he ran towards Hiden. Hiden's scythe had a rope at the very bottom that was also connected to his waist. He threw his S-weapon towards his enemy, attempting to inflict damage. Ryoku put his right hand out as if to stop the blade from coming towards him. Suddenly a huge ice block was created and the scythe hit the ice and got stuck in it instead of hitting Ryoku. Now Hiden was tied to his scythe, which was tied to the ice, so he had limited range of movement. Ryoku took advantage of this limitation and went around the ice blockade and pulled Hiden in towards him from the rope. Hiden's body flew directly at Ryoku's fist. However, before Hiden and Ryoku could collide, many strange black tendrils flew from the direction of Kakazu attempting to bind Ryoku. Ryoku was too fast for that, so he jumped back out of the way, allowing Hidden to collide with the ice block instead. Hidden got back up from the collision and pulled out his weapon with a little difficulty. Oh, smart guy, huh? I already know the way you fight, Hidden, and I won't be tricked by you like last time. Ryoku said. He looked at Kakuzu, who had already removed his Akatsuki cloak. I can see you are taking this seriously, Kakuzu. Of course I am. Kakuzu said. Do you think I want to be your S? Kakuzu's skin tone was pale and he was wearing a sleeveless shirt that showed his arms, which had black shes all over it as if he were a doll. Hidden, I want you to stop play around. Kakuzu said commandingly. The only way we can get him to lose is if he gets caught in your trap. I will distract him while you focus on drawing his B. What do you think I'm trying to figure out, genius? Hidden shouted angrily. It's not as easy as it looks, being the slowest on in the group and all. Kakuzu did not respond. Instead he chased after his opponent, who was waiting for the next move. The next few incidents happened so fast they took only a matter of seconds. Kakuzu reached a few feet from Ryoku and jumped a little in the air, swinging his right fist down at his opponent's face. Bam! Kakuzu's face did not hit Ryoku's face, but an ice ball which he shattered under the force of his attack. Bam! 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 3 more punches to Ryoku's body, but the same results occurred. Ice was always there to block the way. After those 4 swift punches, Ryoku grabbed Kakuzu harshly by the end with his left hand, and put his open palm directly on Kakuzu's face. Suddenly, the Kakuzu's head was completely covered in ice, obstructing him from breathing. Ryoku ducked down and swung his leg around, sweeping Kakuzu completely off his feet. While still crouched on all fours, Ryoku jumped to his right, avoiding Hidden's large scythe that hit the spot where he just was. Ryoku stood up on his 2 legs and pointed down to Kakuzu, who still could not breathe. 4 sharp icicles shot up from the ground, each of them held different locations in Kakuzu's sea. Kakuzu! Hidden shouted, running out of his circle, retracting his scythe. Damn it! How hard can it be to draw B.S.? Hidden finally reached Ryoku as he swung his weapon downwards vertically from above his head. Ryoku simply caught the scythe at the handle and shot a large ice ball at Hidden, sending him backwards many feet. I already know your tricks, and like I said before, I won't be fooled again. Ryoku said. As I recall, you need the B of your opponent to perform your so-called sacred ritual. Well, I won't let you take a single drop of my B. And if you do, then you'll have to deal with K, your partner, as well. Ryoku crouched down and swiped some B off of Kakuzu's C. What are you doing? Hidden shouted in place. Ryoku did not hesitate. He took his finger and licked Kakuzu's B and swallowed it. He smiled, saying, now, your ally is a part of me. Hurt me, and you'll hurt him as well. K me, and you'll destroy his last remaining heart. I destroyed 4 out of 5. Kakuzu jumped up with his whole head soaked from the water he melted with a fire jutsu. Luckily, he began weakly, you didn't destroy the H I use for fire, so I was able to take that ice mask off of myself. Look at this, a minute into the battle and both of you cannot do anything. Ryoku said. Shut up. I'll K you. I won't be your S no matter what. Hidden shouted. He jumped back to the circle and immediately, his skin began to change color. His complexion became completely black with white stripes here and there. Like I said before, if you hurt me, you'll hurt. Ryoku stopped in mid-sentence as he clutched his stomach in pain. There Hidden was, with his own scythe S into him. Hurts, doesn't it? I'm feeling it too. Ryoku watched as Kakuzu walked away from him perfectly fine without pain. How are you without pain? Ryoku asked, still on the ground. Hidden smiled as his scythe was still inside of himself. You still don't know, do you? It was all part of the plan and it worked after all. First of all, I wouldn't attack out of pure anger. I knew you would dodge my scythe, but that was only a distraction. That was all I needed to do my ritual. Now, it's not that I want you with us in the Akatsuki, but what Kakuzu says is completely true. You would be useful to us. Now keep your end of the bargain and devote your life to being an Akatsuki member. Ryoku looked up and said, what makes you think you've won? Simple. Hidden said as he took his scythe out of his abdominal region and put it through his left leg. Ryoku screamed in pain for a second and then breathed deeply, trying to ignore the pain. So, will you join? There is nothing else you can do. Kakuzu asked, breathing deeply as well. Ryoku stood up despite the pain he was in and smiled. If you think you have me cornered, then you're gravely mistaken. But there is no point to dispute over this now. Yes, I will join the Akatsuki. Good. Then let's head back. Kakazu said. So do we have a deal? Itachi asked. We'll lead you to your son again as long as you pledge your allegiance to us. My services are yours, Tsukumo said as all three of them head back to the Akatsuki base. The two puppets sprung out faster than any of the other tail pieces. Both of them were a little shorter than Ru and they were skinny with a sword each. Ru didn't get a good look at them because as soon as they unfolded they were already attacking. One puppet disappeared and reappeared behind Ru attempting to decapitate him. Ru barely managed to whip around and block the attack, but he wasn't fast enough to block the kick from the second puppet. The kick was so powerful, Ru felt like he was flying. Both puppets caught up to him while he was still in the air and attacked him with their swords. Ru thought he did a good job by blocking every single hit from both of them. But before his hopes could go any higher, his staff fell to about 50 tiny pieces on the ground. Ru was completely appalled. His feeling of surprise dulled his reflex for only just a moment, which was exactly when he hit a tree, breaking the trunk with the force. Ru stood back up and he felt his back pop in pain. That's it. I have to get serious before I lose my life, he said to himself. He removed his large jacket to reveal the vest that he wore. The vest carried all different kinds of weapons in many different pockets all over the place. Covering his arms were steel plates that fit him so that he could move with ease. He removed a pair of black nunchucks and swung them in a circular motion fiercely. It was only a few seconds before one of the puppets appeared above Ru and the other behind him. He jumped forward many feet, whirling around as he blocked a sword attack from the puppet behind him. The one that was above him reached the ground, disappeared, and reappeared behind his new position. Ru ducked down, avoiding a swing to the head. He took his weapon and wrapped it around the puppet's leg, and pulled, forcing the puppet to trip and fall to the ground. Ru dashed off, attempting to avoid the puppet that was still left standing. Ru was already panting for air as he continued the constant cycle, blocking and running. He couldn't seem to change his defensive position to offensive. It was nightfall now, and finally, the pill's effect had long been worn off, and his body was already tired out. Ru didn't know what else to do except his last resort. Now his tactic was not defensive, but simply to run away from the two puppets. So he took off as fast as he could, all the way back to the start of the battle. There Sasori was, and Ru ran right under him. Big mistake, fool, Sasori shouted as the two puppets came on opposite sides of each other. Now Ru was trapped between the two puppets in front of and behind him, as well as Sasori's long spider-like legs to his right and left. You have nowhere left to run, Sasori shouted as the two puppets raised their swords to strike. Who said I was going to run away? Ru said as he formed a hand seal quickly and whispered to himself, Kokugan no Jutsu. Time stopped for everybody except Ru, who looked around to make sure everything was still. He stopped for a moment, staring at all of his opponents who were within arm's length away from him. His face became sincere and he said, Riku Haburi, this is for you. Akarui Nanatsu Token. Ru lifted his right arm straight up in the air. Zoom, 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 zoom. What seemed like 7 bright stars appeared high in the dark sky. All 7 glowing figures raced down from the sky straight at Ru's 3 opponents faster than the speed of sound. The 7 glowing figures were 7 different swords that held Sasori and his 2 puppets. Time began again, and their B began to deteriorate. What is going on? Sasori asked in amazement. Ru fell to his knees in exhaustion. I just KU. What kind of technique is this? Sasori demanded. My best one, that's all you need to know, Ru said as the last of Sasori disappeared into thin air along with the 2 puppets. Ru stood up slowly and weakly and walked over to Kyosaku, who was still conscious. Well done, Ketsu. I see you stopped time longer this time around, she commented. I had to, or they would have got to me first, Ru said weakly. Do you remember when I used that against Ketsu? Of course, it was one of the most terrifying moments of my life. I've only seen you use that 3 times now, and nobody's ever survived it, Kyosaku said. All that matters now is that we finished our job and Ketsu and Naruto are safe. We should hurry back to them, Ru said. Kyosaku stood up and they both began walking at a very slow pace. I wonder, Kyosaku began. If every Akatsuki member is this strong, how strong is Naruto really? Naruto was now perfectly rested and so was his brother right beside him. Ketsu and Naruto had been discussing all that they knew about the Shouten. It wasn't long after before they were greeted by Kagai and Saru. We came to take you back ourselves, Kagai said with a smirk. You look just like the man that came, my sensei, Ketsu said, staring directly into Saru's eyes. Saru looked at Ketsu and felt as if his soul was being stared into. You must be confusing me with my brother Sora, Saru said, attempting to avoid Ketsu's stare. Sora, now I remember, that was his name, Ketsu said, allowing his mind to wander off to the past. Who are you? Naruto said assertively. Kagai smiled this time, saying, we are elite shinobi from a small organization that goes by the name Shouten. Our leader has plans with you, Uzumaki, Naruto. You won't be able to take both of us on, Naruto said. Now we'll see about that, won't we? Kagai challenged. Saru, go, now, he demanded. Saru turned back from where he came and dashed off. Ketsu attempted to follow him, but Kagai stood in his way, removing his large black cloak. Your opponent here is me. Kagai wore a tight suit just like everybody else in the Shouten, but his body was nowhere near normal. First of all, Kagai was short and chunky. Second of all, most of his body was made up of metal. Don't worry, Naruto calmed Ketsu. We'll catch up to that little boy soon enough. Let's take care of him first. Ketsu nodded and prepared his fighting stance. Now, let's see how strong the Shouten really is, Naruto said, smiling. Kagai only had small worthless tricks up his sleeve which were completely useless against the skill of Naruto and Ketsu. Is this all that you have? Naruto asked, disappointed. I was never meant for battle at any time of my life. I am only as good I have made myself. I have a few more tricks up my sleeve. Allow me to show you. Kagai sighed. Kagai took a deep breath that made his stomach expand so big it looked like he had a huge cannonball inside it. He took both of his fists and punched his stomach as hard as he could, throwing an air bubble at his opponents. The air bubble quickly hit the wall as both Naruto and Ketsu dodged. The cave wall crumbled from the force, allowing sunlight to enter. As I breathe in a considerable amount of air, my body functions to compress it with energy and I spew it out with an immense force that can cause a catastrophic effect. But that's not all that technique can do. Kagai said. He opened his right hand up to reveal a small mechanical hole. The hole worked exactly like a lighter that created a flame to linger there in his palm. Again he breathed in a lot of air and with his right hand out in front of him and his left hand pounding on his belly he spewed out the air bubble that came in contact with the fire to create a large fireball. He continued this with such speed that soon enough the cave was completely gone and trees around them were beginning to catch fire. I guess that's not going to work, Kagai said softly. Very well then, I'll try this. He pounded his left palm into the ground as hundreds of metal-sharp rods shot up from the ground spaced about 1 foot apart from each other. Naruto and Ketsu both were able to dodge those as well. I guess that didn't work, Kagai stated, a little sad. Well, how about this? Both of his hands folded into his wrists, revealing 2 guns. He fired 5 bullets per second in each hand, shooting out small pebbles that exploded as soon as they touched anything. With the sharp silver rods in the way, it made it much harder to dodge this attack, but Naruto and Ketsu still managed to do so. Now it's our turn to attack. I'm tired of being on the defensive side for nothing, Naruto said. If you want a challenge, then you should have said so. Let's see if you can handle all 3 at the same time, Kagai said. He shot fireballs and exploding pebbles at a much faster pace this time. Boom! Suddenly, a lightning strike came from the sky, striking a single metal rod that happened to be touching Ketsu. The lightning bolt shocked him and stunned him for a single second, which gave Kagai enough time to strike him with a fireball and 20 exploding pebbles. Ketsu landed on the floor out of the area with the metal rods completely weak and almost unconscious. Ketsu! Naruto shouted, reaching outwards towards his brother. Bam! Naruto was also struck with a fireball. He quickly stood up and dodged a few lightning bolts that struck near him. He had to make his way to Kagai and fast. Right before he reached his opponent, hundreds of lightning bolts jolted down at the direction of every single metal rod. Naruto lifted his palms up at the lightning rushing towards him and shouted, Duka no Jutsu. All of the lightning hit his hands, but instead of hurting him it formed into a large yellow ball full of electricity. Kagai spewed a fireball from his mouth, but the attack diminished against the even bigger ball of electricity that Naruto drove directly into Kagai's body. Kagai was completely paralyzed for all except his eyes and mouth. He sighed in great sadness as he realized that he had failed his mission. It seems I was never meant for fighting after all. Naruto walked up to him slowly and drove his fist into Kagai's H, quickly ending his life. Ketsu, witnessing this, screamed in anger and disagreement. Naruto ran back to his brother, who was now in tears. You idiot. We could have extracted infromation from him. Now how are we supposed to find out anything? The other boy is gone. You said to leave alone. You may have ruined my chances for revenge. Ketsu screamed at the top of his lungs. He would not have told us anything, Naruto said sadly, full of regret. You don't know that. Ketsu shouted once again. He stood up despite the pain he was in and punched the ground 5 times, creating a large hole. Calm down, Ketsu, I'm sorry. Naruto said, grabbing Ketsu's arm. Ketsu drove a Rasengan into Naruto's body, sending him into a nearby tree. Don't you dare tell me to calm down, Naruto. Jiraiya was like a father to me and I can't let him in vain. I have to get my revenge, and it's been more than 3 years now and haven't got much closer to it. You out, mother, so you're lucky I'm not doing anything to you. My mother and my father are gone. Naruto stood up after catching his breath. His air was knocked completely out of him as he simply watched Ketsu walk around destroying trees with brute force. Ru and Kyosuke had finally returned and witnessed Kagai's SB body and the destruction all around them and rushed to Ketsu and Naruto. They were both fine now, and so were the Uzumaki brothers. They both explained to each other what had happened. Finally, after their stories, Ketsu stood up with impatience. I can't take this anymore. I'm going to find that boy. He is our only hope of find out more about the Shouten, since Naruto had to go and K off our best information source. Damn it. Ketsu, don't do anything stupid. Naruto said, standing up after him. Again Ketsu attempted to drive a Rasengan into Naruto's stomach, but Naruto caught Ketsu's wrist and tightened his grip, hurting Ketsu's hand. The first time, I let you, because I believed I deserve it. But now you are just taking it over the top. I'm telling you now, Ketsu, act your age, and calm down. Naruto said calmly but with a somewhat threatening tone. Who do you think you are to boss me around like that, huh? Ketsu asked as Naruto released his very tight grip on his wrist. You don't know how I feel, how can you? You didn't experience this pain. You don't know what it's like to have a person you love so much taken away from you. So how can you possibly know how I feel? Ketsu shouted. You're right. I don't know how you feel. I don't know what it's like to have someone I love so much disappear and BS. I don't know what it's like to have a father's love one moment, and then taken away the next. But I can tell you that I would rather have a father's love for a second than without ever having it. You know what it's like to have it and lose it, but I never experienced that love in the first place. I never belonged with anyone. So I don't see the reason why you must complain so much when I never complain, Naruto said. Ketsu stayed silent for a moment, looking at Ru and Kyosuke, who were speechless. But in the end his anger overcame him. Damn this. I can't take it anymore. I have to go find that boy no matter what. Don't do anything stupid, Ketsu. Naruto shouted. Don't tell me what to do. Leave me alone, all of you. Ketsu said, dashing off in the direction Saru headed about half an hour ago. Ketsu, Naruto was seen off by Kyosuke. Leave him, Naruto, he needs to cool off for a little while. She said. I just don't want anything to happen to him. Even though he's older than me, I still feel as if I have to take care of him. I was raised by the Akatsuki, he was raised by Jiraiya, and look who's throwing tantrums. Naruto explained. He'll come back within a few hours. He's done this before, there's no calming him when it comes to him getting his revenge. Ru said. He won't find him, that boy left about half an hour ago. Naruto said. Wait, what boy? Ru asked. He was a small child that was also part of the organization. He had brown spiky hair and a rock arm. Naruto explained. Ru clenched his fist and squinted his eyes. Saru, His brother not only Ketsu's master, but he himself mine. I also have a bone to pick with that boy. He will definitely pay for what he did. I have a feeling that things are reaching a critical point in time. There is definitely a storm coming, Naruto said, looking at the dark sky blocking the sun. Ketsu knew inside that he would never catch up to the boy that left, but he didn't want to give up. However, soon enough, he was exhausted and also had no idea where he was going. He was completely lost as a matter of fact. It wasn't too long before Ketsu encountered an old foe. It appears that Saru was being followed after all. A nearby voice said. The voice came from a tree which transformed into the only human that could shape-shift. 8. Where is he? Ketsu asked furiously. 8 smiled, showing all of his pointy teeth. Wow, vicious aren't we? I'm sorry, but I won't be able to tell you that. As soon as I capture you, I will have Uzumaki at my feet ready to do anything to have you spared. So I think it was lucky that I found you. Ignorance, I never got a chance to fight you before, but today I will, and you will tell me all I need to know or you will s. Ketsu said. How do you know my name? 8 asked. I remember it from a very long time ago. The first time I saw you, you told me your actual name was Ignorance, but they called you 8 after the 8's sin. Ketsu said. That is a great memory you have, accompanied with just as big a threat. 8 smirked. I never forget the face of my enemy. I don't threaten people unless I have to. Tell me what I need to know and we don't have to fight. Ketsu offered. 8 laughed. Ha. You obviously don't understand, I need you to get your brother. Fighting you is simply a plus. I love the feeling of death, the smell of I just adore fighting, especially a strong opponent. Now I can already tell by your intent that this is definitely going to be fun. I'm glad Saru came and told me to check if anyone was following him, because now I will be the one to get you and your brother. Very well, then I will beat the information out of you. Ketsu said as he took a deep breath to calm himself. If there's one thing I learned in fighting, it's that I need to stay calm. He said out loud. That is a smart tactic most times, but not all the time. Now the question is, who's going to attack first? 8 asked. However, before he could even finish the question, Ketsu was already in action. He stayed calm, but the bunshin behind his opponent was now rushing towards him. 8 detected the movement and ducked as the bunshin flew over his head. He grabbed the bunshin's foot and crushed the ankle. Poof! The bunshin was gone, and so was Ketsu. 8 smiled once more, saying, a diversion, interesting. I wonder what you'll do next. Suddenly, 2 hands launched up from underground right next to 8's feet. Both of Ketsu's hands that came up were holding kunai, which were driven directly into 8's feet, holding him in place with the ground. Ketsu then came up to his waist and took to more kunai and the back for 8's legs. 8 fell to his knees while his feet were still pinned to the ground. Finally, Ketsu jumped completely out of the ground, and delivered a Rasengan straight to the back of 8's head. 8's face collided with the ground and created an imprint on the hard dirt with the force from the attack. Ketsu jumped back and stared intensely at his opponent while being alert to his surroundings. 8 lay there for a few moments before he stood up. When he did get up, Ketsu could see that his face was mostly but nothing was broken, just C up. As soon as 8 stood on his 2 feet, he fell back down to his feet again. Ketsu smiled at him, saying, I'll the back of your legs so you won't be able to stand for long moments at a time. So basically your legs are completely useless in this battle. Not quite, 8 said as he pulled the 4 kunai out from his body, throwing them on the ground. Not bad, kid. The name is Uzumaki Ketsu. Remember it, because I'm going to be the one that you. I swear it, Ketsu shouted, rushing at his opponent. 8 jumped upside down on his hands and spun around extremely fast with his legs straight out so that they were horizontal and parallel to the ground. His legs then shape-shifted to 2 blades and he was now spinning so fast that he was like one constant moving blade. Ketsu barely managed to jump over 8's legs, and while in the air, he threw a kunai with an exploding tag down towards 8. 8 moved slightly to the side so that the kunai was reflected directly back to Ketsu and hit him in the back. Ketsu grabbed the kunai from his back and threw it as far as he could before it exploded, which wasn't very far. The explosion still managed to send Ketsu flying backwards toward his opponent. 8 took advantage of this moment as he stopped spinning and Ketsu in the who stopped flying backwards, B quickly left Ketsu's body, who got back on his feet clutching his S in pain. A green light quickly appeared, sealing the wound, allowing Ketsu to continue the fight without worrying about the excessive B. Not bad, Ketsu said, gritting his teeth. 8 smiled. It seems that your healing is not exactly top-notch. Although it is enough to keep you going, you are still feeling the pain. You probably only healed the outside of the wound, so you have enough time to escape and treat it. But I'm guessing that's not what you're going to do. You will if you leave that untouched, you know. If you care so much, then why don't you tell me what I need to know? Ketsu asked, still gritting his teeth. Because that would take all the fun out of this battle. Please do not tell me you don't have anything else up your sleeves. 8 said, standing up as if he was perfectly fine. How are you doing that? Ketsu asked, completely appalled. You obviously underestimate me. Uzumaki Ketsu, I would not be in the Shouten if I was so weak. 8 said. Your friend Kagai's pretty easily if you ask me. Ketsu said harshly. 8's enlightened face suddenly turned a bit angry. So the old man's S. I can't say I'm too happy about that. Kagai is a Shouten member because he is a genius. But he was not a fighter. The rest of us are, and I can tell you that we should not be underestimated. As I can already tell, you don't truly understand the concept of shape-shifting. Allow me to explain. 8 began walking toward Ketsu slowly, saying, all shape-shifting is a microscopic science. It's easy to understand once you know the basics. So, basically, shape-shifting is the concept of altering the cells to change their form into something else with the help of chakra. So when I want my arm to change into metal, all the cells in my arm rearrange their atoms to become it. So the reason why I am able to stand even after you see my legs is because I simply altered my cells to repair themselves so that I can walk again. So I am able to heal very fast, and if you tried to see off a limb, I can simply school it back on as if it were brand new again. 8 had reached within elbow's length of Ketsu, who was frozen in place. Bam! Ketsu was sent flying through 5 trees as 8 thrust his fist into Ketsu's sea. That's another unique thing about me. My skeleton is made completely of one of the strongest metals on Earth. I can alter that too. 8 stated, walking towards Ketsu once more. Ketsu stood up and put his hands in the air, signaling forfeit. I give up, he said. What? I know you have more than that. 8 said, aggravated. But you are right about my healing technique, it is not that good. Plus, you can't make bargains with my brother if I'm S now, can you? Ketsu said. Good point. With that, 8 hit Ketsu over the head, knocking him out. He crouched down next to the unconscious body and inserted a needle that he carried with him. This will make you sleep for a while. 8 said to Ketsu. 8 hasn't come back yet, Naruto said, pacing constant circles around the small fire they made. Ru and Kyosuke were sitting around the fire, absorbing its warmth like bread with water. I wonder where he is, Ru said softly. Me too. After all, it's already nightfall. Kyosuke said. I have to go out and find him. I knew I should have gone when he first left. Naruto said angrily. Let us come with you, Naruto, it's the least we can do. We were the ones that held you back in the first place. Kyosuke said, standing up. No, I definitely do not want you to come. Because when I find him, I'm going to teach him a lesson from going off like that. He needs to learn patience and respect. Not everything is as easy as going out and getting it. He has to prioritize himself. You guys will only get in my way when I correct him for his mistakes. Please, if you guys want to help, then stay out of this. Naruto said firmly. Very well, Ru and Kyosuke both said as Naruto dashed off into the dark forest following Ketsu's path. It wasn't long before Naruto found Ketsu and 8 sitting on a rock deep in the forest. You're from the Shouten, aren't you? Naruto said, pointing at 8. Well said. The name's 8 and I have your brother. I decided to offer you a bargain, take it and your brother survives, don't, and he doesn't. 8 said. What's this bargain? What could you possibly want from me? Naruto asked. We want the demon that rests inside of you. It is essential to our plans. 8 began. But to take it out you have to S. If you don't take the bargain, I will kill you and your brother, so either way it looks bad for you. But you aren't choosing for yourself, it's for Ketsu here. 8 patted Ketsu, who was still completely knocked out, on the head. Don't touch him, Naruto said with a very intensely threatening tone. What is it with the Uzumaki clan threatening people? What is your decision? 8 asked. I prefer you us both. Naruto said, disappearing and reappearing in the same spot he was before, except this time with Ketsu in his arms. Or I'd like you to try. Naruto said. What the hell did you do that so fast? 8 asked. Doesn't matter after tonight, because you'll soon be S. Naruto said, placing his brother carefully on the ground. Don't underestimate me, kid. Your brother did that and look how it worked out for him. 8 said. All I ask is that you do the same. Do not take me lightly, because I am much stronger than Ketsu. Naruto said. We'll see about that now, won't we? 8 said with a grin. I'm excited now from your words, I'm only hoping that you can live up to them. Oh, I can assure you that you won't be disappointed. Naruto said, crouching ready to fight. Naruto dashed over to 8's side and attempted to strike him in the face with his fists. 8 was too fast for that, so he blocked the punch, but his arm s2 from the force. 8's arm went back to normal as he reattached the cells, and he continued the battle by allowing his left arm to transform into a long platinum hammer. His right hand turned into a medium-sized circular shield that looked somewhat like an ancient gong. Now what I'm trying to figure out, Naruto began, is how strong you are. Well, the Shouten had a total of 6 members before Saru came. One of our members which was replaced by Saru, keeping the number at 6. Coincidentally, Saru replaced his older brother Sora. Even including Sora in our organization, I would be the 3rd strongest. Our leader's power leaves us all behind so far that all 5 of us wouldn't be able to take him on. The 2nd strongest one in the Shouten is much stronger than me. I am much stronger than Saru, but he does have a long way to go. He is still young, so he can be stronger if he decides to try. 8 said. Of course, I don't think you will be able to defeat me at your level. I can honestly say that I was disappointed at how weak your brother is. I did not feel challenged in that previous fight whatsoever. Well, he still needs a lot to learn as well. Naruto said. So I see you can shape-shift. That is quite an interesting ability. You are good at stating the obvious. But to tell you the truth, it is my only real ability since I was created by the Shouten member which you recently K. Other than good reflex time and super strength, this is all I have. I am not like you or any other person that is born. I am simply a body without a soul. 8 explained. Don't try to hide your skill at chakra control. I know that in order to do something so unique you must be in complete power over your chakra. So if you combine all 3 of those skills you come up with one very weird combination. Naruto said, smiling. I'm going to enjoy this. In my case, controlling chakra can only take me so far. It's creativity in my shape-shifting that allows me to become stronger. 8 said. The tactic that you are planning to use won't work on me. Naruto said, referring to the hammer and gong. I know that you plan to use the hammer for destruction. Not only that, but by banging the hammer and gong together you will create a large sound with such a high frequency that it's supposed to stun me. I've seen many sound techniques before that nothing really surprises me anymore. Naruto said. You can't be sure this won't work. 8 said, outstretching both of his weapons about to bang them together. You're welcome to waste your energy. However, another reason that your technique won't work is that you are already caught in the flow of my genjutsu. Naruto said, disappearing slowly. After a few seconds, 3 copies of 8 himself appeared around the real 8. Let's see how good you are against yourself. Naruto's voice said. From that point, the battle that took place was all taijutsu. 8 constantly moved back and forth, forwards and backwards, all to dodge to incoming attacks from his fake clones. It wasn't long before 8 jumped high up in the air to avoid all 3 of his opponents. While in the air, both of his arms each turned into 50 metal strings extending far out and attaching themselves to trees from all around. Zoom. The strings all retracted and hundreds of pieces of trees came crashing down on the 3 8s, causing them to vanish into thin air just like Naruto had done. Genjutsu can be very dangerous if you don't know how to handle it. 8 said as he closed his eyes. Suddenly, he was back to reality. There Naruto was, just a few feet in front of him, smiling. So you can stop genjutsu after all. Of course, all it is stopping the chakra flow that you control through the genjutsu. With good control of chakra, which I believe we've already established I can do, then you can get out of it easily. 8 said. If that is so, then why didn't you get out of it immediately? Naruto asked. I wanted to see what level your genjutsu is at. It seems that it's not your best aspect. 8 said. Before anything else occurred, Naruto formed hand seals shouting, Kaiten, Ryuka no Jutsu. Naruto put his hand to his mouth as a huge amount of extremely hot flames burst out directly at 8, engulfing him within the fire. 8 was left with much of his muscles burned badly, if not turned to ashes. At the same time, all his skin was completely gone. His skeleton was the only thing about him that remained unharmed. 8's skin simply reappeared while his muscles did the same time. Soon enough his body was as good as new. Well, then let's see how well you can do against this. Hari Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto said, forming a few hand seals. Suddenly, 10 Naruto clones appeared, all of them behind Naruto. Hari Bunshin, 8 repeated to himself, scratching his small goatee at the same time. That would mean glass clones, correct. Very smart, Naruto said as all of the Naruto clones rushed at their opponent. The first one that 8 punched exploded on the spot, causing glass to shoot everywhere from the force. 8 jumped back, but his body was completely all over with glass shards stuck inside it at different places. The glass that flew at Naruto simply went around him. The 9 other Bunshins continued to run towards 8 as if nothing had happened. The first Bunshin to reach him at that point attempted to punch 8's face but missed as 8 ducked. But before 8 could back away without laying a single finger on the Bunshin, it exploded anyways, causing more glass to fly into 8's body. The 8 other Bunshins gathered close together and formed an octagon around 8. Boom! All of them exploded, leaving 8 on the floor with most of his skin off once more. He was beat terribly, but he still stood up. This time he wasn't able to heal his whole body. He was only capable of partially healing his vitals, which he did as fast as he could. I hope I did not disappoint you in this battle, Naruto said. 8 stayed silent. I have been fighting for a long time, so I have gotten quite skilled at analyzing people's fighting styles and abilities. Naruto began. Your first mistake was telling me that your only abilities were super strength, and shapeshifting with good chakra control. With that in mind, all I had to do was put you through 2 tests which allowed me to determine how strong you really are. What are you talking about? 8 said, panting for air as his body continued to be badly. The first test was the genjutsu. I used a weak illusionary technique on you to see how good your chakra control really is. The second test was the fire technique. I had you mostly figured out after witnessing your body regenerating completely back to normal. That was another mistake you made, by the way, Naruto said. My guess is that you alter your cells to shapeshift, but you can also heal yourself by doing that. Or at least that's what it looks like on the outside. I don't think you can create cells out of thin air, as in your cells will not reproduce since you are not actually human. Your cells will live as long as forever until they are destroyed from an outside force, like getting burned. So what you did is take cells from different parts of your body, as in your limbs and such, so that you could heal the rest of your body. But I think the only reason why you healed yourself completely was to show off or to appear to as if you had the ability to completely heal yourself. All that was necessary was to heal your vital organs so you can function properly, Naruto said. Wow, I am actually very impressed at your analysis, 8 said. That's not all, Naruto said. Since you have a limited amount of cells in your body, you cannot heal forever, which is why I used the exploding glass clones to destroy your body a second time. But since you already used many of your cells to completely heal yourself the first time, you don't have enough to do it again. Instead, you barely have enough to heal your vital organs to keep you alive until you reach the Shouten base. Am I correct? Naruto asked. 8 simply laughed, which confirmed Naruto's theory. I guess I was careless this time, he said. I suppose you could call it that. But the simple truth is that you got wine in the end. You underestimated me like I warned you not to. Go back to your base and regenerate so that the next time I see you, you will have learned a lesson, Naruto said. But don't ever make the mistake of even thinking about touching my brother again, or I will make sure to finish the job. Naruto finished. Your words are crystal clear, Uzumaki Naruto. You have earned my respect. It's sad that so much talent will be wasted when we extract the Kyuubi from your body, 8 said, dashing off into the dark forest. Naruto took Ketsu and quickly returned back to the campfire he was a few hours ago. When he arrived, He filled Ru and Kyosaku in on what happened. Another Shouten member, huh? Ru asked. A few hours later, and Ketsu awoke in fury. Why am I not in the Shouten base? Ketsu asked. Naruto chased after you and rescued you back from 8. Kyosaku said. What? Ketsu said in disbelief. Do you not realize that the reason why I lost the battle so easily is because I wanted to end up in the base? Do you not realize that if you were in the base you would be S before you even woke up? They have no use for you, Ketsu. Think with your head before making stupid decisions like that. Naruto said harshly. Who the hell do you think you are? Ketsu asked evilly to Naruto. You're not my brother. What happened to the supporting best friend who would always be by my side? I am at your side. Naruto shouted. But you have to use your head instead of your heart before making decisions. Don't be so hard-headed because I always have to look out for you and save you. You should be thanking me, you ungrateful twit. Naruto shouted back. I'm tired of your crap. All of you, I'm not going to take this from any of you any longer. Ketsu shouted, standing up preparing to fight. Naruto stood up right after clenching his fists. No, Naruto. Ru said. Let us handle this. You've had one too many battles at this point. Let us calm him down. We've done it before. Ru and Kyosaku both stood up and prepared to fight the friend who had turned against them. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.